The JMU Dukes had one of their best seasons ever right now. Look, matching what they did in 2014. In 2015, they have an 11-3 record, and they win the ACC championship. So, everything ended up pretty well for the Dukes. If we take a look at the stats really quick, Chase Sinclair, actually coming off a backup spot, didn't do too bad for the Dukes. He had 8 touchdowns and a couple of interceptions. Joe Disher was just behind him in QB rating, had way more yards because he played a lot more, but he had an injury-riddled season. He finished with 28 touchdowns and 13 interceptions overall. Now moving on to the running game, we can see that Cardon Johnson in his senior season was just shy of 1,000 yards, 12 yards shy, but he went into the end zone 20 times, which is an incredible amount. Joe Disher had 504 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, and Cameron King, the true freshman, came in as a power running back, didn't get a ton of carries, but had almost 250 yards and almost double-digit touchdowns as well. On the receiving side of things, Jordan Dodson absolutely controlled everything from the tight end position. The redshirt freshman had 66 receptions, over 1,000 receiving yards, and 11 touchdowns. Now, John Miller was not to be outdone there in his senior season with 7 touchdowns, but for a team that ultimately had a couple of injuries at quarterback, had some sketchy situations with a lot of interceptions being thrown at times, this team pulled through and did what they needed to do to have a successful season at 11-3. And we're gonna hear to the end, Clay Smith, his only catch was for 18 yards here. We have Daniel Clemens, we have Steven Weldon, who got 1 reception as well. He was a freshman cornerback and actually played on offense a couple of times, so he had an incredible season, and the receiving core was solid, but there's a lot of young guys that can step in for next year. When we switch over to defense, it was led by Rashad Jean Jr. The redshirt freshman was forcing fumbles all season long, even had a sack this year, but led us with 73 total tackles. Now, Brett Siegel in his senior campaign was stellar. 10 tackles for loss, didn't get a sack this season, but Andrew Ankra stepped up. Look at this, 6 sacks. But the guy that everybody was really talking about as we look at Kyrie Hawkins, Robert Branch, Trevor Barrow, David Ezegu, Charles Tutt, Curtis Oliver, go down here to Aries Cole, the true freshman, yes, the true freshman, 6'4", 84 overall, led us with 13 sacks on the year, 24 tackles from the defensive end spot, 16 tackles for a loss. This kid was absolutely incredible. Now we're gonna look at some of the other guys. You see Matthew Belk chiming in, Xavier Lewis, Jason Dunn, even John Miller had a couple of tackles because, we threw a lot of interceptions this season. We go down here, we've got Mike Cobbs, Josh Fleener, Curtis Holmes, Cole Anderson, Steven Weldon only got a single tackle, but he didn't play a ton of defense this year. I got a feeling he'll play a little bit more this season as he moves into his sophomore campaign. Now again, as you guys look at our sack leaders, Aries Cole was right there, Andrew Ankra, Evans Azuju, lots of guys contributed from the sack perspective, but I want to look at the interception side. We only had 4 interceptions. The guy that led us was our redshirt senior, Trevor Barrow. Now Charles Tutt had 3 of his own. He might be coming back as a junior. We don't know if he's going to try to bolt for the NFL or if he wants to come back for his senior campaign. Rashad Jean Jr. ended up getting 2 himself. Brett Siegel got 1, and Kyrie Hawkins got 1 as well. From a kicking perspective, Timothy Payne, the true freshman, came out there and was 4 for 6. We didn't kick a lot of field goals this year, but he did manage to make a 46-yard field goal, which isn't bad for the young fella. We didn't punt a lot either this season, and Kyle Black had a pretty decent year. Again, a true freshman. Both him and Timothy Payne will be here for a long time. And on the kick return side of things, this is where Clay Smith and Steven Weldon really contributed the most. Now, Clay Smith had over 1,000 return yards, which is incredible. Steven Weldon had 821, so these guys were both killing it. Steven Weldon had 28.3 for his average. Clay Smith had 26.1, which is incredible. On the punt return side of things, Steven Weldon was our only punt returner. 21 punt returns, 194 yards, nearly 10 per attempt, so that's not bad at all either. Now, a big and major shocker to the JMU Dukes is the backup quarterback we had, the guy that we had redshirted as a freshman, Justice Thomas Jr. This kid was incredible. He was super fast. He had an accurate arm. He could have challenged Joe Disher as a starting quarterback this season. He has decided to bolt JMU and leave for Illinois. So we got to play Illinois in the upcoming seasons because we want to make sure this dude pays. Now, on top of that, we have Andrew Ankra, Kyrie Hawkins, Ishmael Hyman, and Aaron Stinney, all because they're seniors. They're drafting. They ended up going into the draft. You've got guys projected in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 6th round, and the 6th round. This is crazy because I believe Vad Lee, when he left, who was probably our best player ever, only ended up being a 6th or 7th rounder. So now JMU is up here producing guys in the 2nd and 3rd round potentially, which is incredible. On top of that, we're going to see guys like Cole Anderson, Cardon Johnson, and more end up going out for their graduation. No idea if they'll make it into the NFL, but it's still good to see these guys go ahead and get their diploma and move on to the next step of their life. For any of you guys that were curious, Andrew Ankra went in the 2nd round, Kyrie Hawkins in the 3rd, Ishmael Hyman in the 6th round, Aaron Stinney in the 6th, and then in the 7th, we got David Ezegu. So overall, we got 5 players in the NFL draft, which I think is a new high for JMU. Now it's time for the thing that all of you guys are watching this video before. How do you become a recruit in NCAA 14 in my JMU Dynasty? Well, I'm about to tell you right now, but first look at our recruiting class. Alabama has a number 1, Notre Dame at 2, Oklahoma at 3, but all the way down here, for the first time I believe in JMU's history, we have the number 18 recruiting class, a top 20 recruiting class that includes a 5-star player, 5 4-star players, 3 9-stars, 2 7-stars, and not a single 1-star because we're not signing any bums this year. A total of 22 players coming to our class. I'm feeling pretty good. The squad is looking good, but now it's time to tell you guys how you become a player in my dynasty. Now on the screen right now, you guys are seeing all 16 of the recruits that we actually signed is officially signing day, and these guys are now a part of the JMU Dukes. In the comments down below, there's a little form for you guys to fill out. All you gotta do is copy and paste it and fill it out. You need to fill out the first name, the last name, the name of the recruit that you want to be. That is very important. Let's say that you want to be an outside linebacker on this team. So you'd want to say my first name, my last name, and then you want to say Justin Luke outside linebacker, or OLB. So let me know which player you want to be, and then put your skin color down below. So you can do a light, a medium, or a dark basically. And then after, what I will do is in 2 weeks, I will reveal all the recruits that are going to be on this team. Now let's quickly talk about some of these recruits. Now we have Sam Robinson, who's an athlete on this team. No idea what position he's going to play, so make sure you just put ATH if you want to be him, obviously with his name. Trey Landry, a middle linebacker. We have Mark Simmons, who's a lowly ranked guard. Probably won't play in season 1 or season 2, but should be starting, I think, by season 3. We have Sam Jordan, who's a tackle, who's a monster. This dude is 6'5", 290. We have Justin Luke, who's an outside linebacker. This dude is a stud, 6'6", 223 pounds, and from what I remember, he's actually pretty fast. We have Jeremy O'Donnell, who's a free safety. We have some pretty good safeties on our team, so I don't think he would start in year 1 or year 2, but possibly in year 3 for him. We have Andre Fenner, who's trying to be a running back on the squad. Ryan Watkins, a middle linebacker. Dusty Morton, another athlete. Now, this guy be a receiver, a quarterback, a cornerback. Where's this guy going to play? You guys will have to find out. It's a little bit of a risky situation. You could possibly be playing a position you don't want to play, but by choosing an athlete, you could become a starter, so something to think about. Carlos Alston is a cornerback on our team. John Barnes is a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver. Something to keep in mind too is that the height and weight will not change for these players, but what they look like, their actual appearance, that you guys can actually change. Now Derek Lacey, we have Jason Houston, another athlete. We picked up a couple of athletes in this draft class, or in this recruiting class. We have Jonathan Nelson, who's going to be a tackle on our team at a pretty decent size. We have Sheldon Allen, who's a wide receiver, but look at how tall this guy is. 6'6", 220 pounds. This dude should be a red zone threat. And then the very last player we signed in this draft class is Andrew Scott, a 6'2", 172-pound guy. He's got some weight to put on, that's for sure, but he's a 77 overall already. Our cornerbacks aren't really the greatest at this point, so he could be competing for a job definitely in year number 1. So as a reminder for you guys, again, first name that you want, last name for your player, the chosen player that you want to be. So list that player's name and their position, if they're an athlete, if they're a wide receiver, and so forth. And then the skin color you want for your player, light, medium, or dark. And then in about 2 weeks' time, I'm going to put all this together. We're going to get a roster set up, and we're going to debut the brand new recruiting class for the JMU Dukes. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more of the JMU series, if you're happy to see you back, make sure you guys crush that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification so you get all my videos. Check the playlist on the screen, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.